Good morning, YouTube viewers and subscribers. Today is yet another special day because this will be the first run of this beautiful Saito FA-100 twin engine. This will be volume 11 of my Box to the Bench series. So I received this engine yesterday, and in the video I shot and posted yesterday of me kind of just taking a quick look at it, I said, well, this will only take 5 minutes to set up. Well, the only part of this that took 5 minutes to do was taking the ASP FT-160 engine off of this thing. It took me a little bit longer because I wanted to remove the carbs, look to see where the air bleed screws were set, and I checked the valve lash, which for this engine it looks like this is a very low runtime engine. It has been run, but it looks pretty low, so I'm thinking the break-in was pretty much done, but the way it was to get the valve covers off, as far as the screw tightness and getting them off, I don't even know if anybody ever checked or set the valve lash because they were pretty far off. They were open too far. So I thought it had good compression then. It's got a lot better compression now. The one thing I would comment on about this engine that I don't really care for, and I might have to look and see if I can just find some headers, is I don't particularly care for this flex exhaust. I like the look of the headers just coming out, and plus I can easily tell by feeling if a cylinder drops out. Here it's going to be a little bit dicier trying to get my hand under here to see if a cylinder drops out, but we'll see. So anyway, I've got these needle valves. I set the carb up by putting a tube onto each one of these individually, closing the carb and blowing through there with it fully open, with the carb fully open. I opened it up 3 turns and then I pulled it fully closed, and I could still hear a little bit of air blowing through. So I think they're preliminarily set up. Like I said, they're 3 turns open. That's probably going to be too much, but we'll see what happens. I don't have the ignition wires or the glow wires hooked up, but I did just purchase some new McDaniel knife starters that lock in place. So these are fully charged, and they're 3850 milliamp hour batteries, so they should last. I don't really want to run it with those on too long, so what I'm going to do is, and this is going to be the process, I'm going to fire it up, see if it runs, take them off real quick. If it dies, then adjust the needles and that type of thing. So this is going to be the first run, so things may not go exactly according to plan, but we'll see. I've got a tank of Morgan's 10% Omega here with a little bit of castor added. This looks like about the same setup I had when I had my 80 and 90 twins. The center line of this tank is below the center line of the carb, so I think we'll have an okay fuel draw. I don't have a fuel line hooked up, but it's going to go up and over the top here. I don't think we'll have a fuel draw issue, but I've got a Master Airscrew 14.6 prop on here, so once I get this thing running and tuned, I'm expecting to see anywhere in the neighborhood of 8,500 RPM, maybe a little higher, not really sure, but at least in that range. So let's, I'll shut up now and we'll just start trying to run this engine. Hope you enjoy it. Pretty well primed now. wasn't incredibly stimulating. I don't know what is. That was basically a full tank. It looked like it was starting to suck air, and it died because it sucked the fuel out of the line. Okay, so the clunks must have moved. But anyway, it ran. It runs pretty darn good. I have to check and see where my needle valve settings are. This left cylinder kept wanting to drop out at low end, and both of the air blade screws are set about 50% of the way through there, so I'm just going to have to check and see where these are set now and see if they're close to each other or not. I was really kind of having a hard time determining when a cylinder would drop out, so as you could see many times, I know many of you are probably like, don't do that. Me sticking my hands down under here to feel this. Believe me, I realized the danger I was in. That's why I don't like these flex tubes. So I think in the future, I'm not going to have these two flex tubes coupled like this. I'm going to have them separate and moving out here so I can more safely put my hands here, because that's really the only way I can tell. I mean, sometimes it's pretty obvious to tell when a cylinder drops out, but at low speed it's really not. And I'm going to really need to know that for fine-tuning the idle, because you could see I was able to hold it and see this throttle doesn't have any resistance. I thought I had this piece of fuel tubing here, but the hole is larger than the fuel tubing. So I need to come up with a means to actually keep this in a set position so that it doesn't want to move so freely. So I was able to, just by holding this, get down to about a 1900 RPM idle, and it sounded like it was okay, but when I go to do final tuning on this, I really need to be able to hold that in a certain spot so I can sit here and tweak these air bleed screws and feel the exhaust at the same time, so I can get the tuning done that way. This carb does not have a throttle stop screw, unfortunately. It's one of the other drawbacks to these Saito twins like this, is they don't have a throttle stop screw, so I can inadvertently pull it all the way closed, and I'm getting a little binding here with my throttle arm too. When I pull it closed, it may not want to open up again, so I got a little few things there to work on, but hey, this thing ran, and it ran pretty well, and I was shocked. I was not expecting to see this thing touch 10,000 RPM. Obviously, I didn't let it go touching that too much, but I was not expecting that, because with this same prop on my 80 and 90 Ts, I was really only able to get maybe 85, 8600 RPM tops. I was really kind of blown away when this was, in the mid 9,000s and then touching 10,000. I didn't expect that. I guess that just goes to show maybe I should have looked at the manual to see what the RPM specs are for this thing. They'll probably just say, max RPM 10,000 or 11,000, I don't know, I'll have to check. But I wasn't expecting that sort of RPM out of this. So anyway, it ran pretty damn good. So I hope you enjoyed watching, and thank you for your viewers, and thank you for your subscriptions. Enjoy.